and rising. So it's fairly early in the morning, and I just passed a couple humans that were leaving a festival. You know, still haven't slept, probably on a cocktail of different substances. And then I thought about, that was me a couple years ago, many years ago actually. But I was that guy too, you know, leaving a place when the sun is up, when there is, you know, the start of the fresh day. Other people start work, they think, they use their brain, they contribute something positive to this realm, they do their little part, right? And me back in the day just fucking destroyed my body and my mind and my vision for a night. And then the next day you suffer as well, right? Because you're not sharp, you're not where you're supposed to be. But yeah, I mean, this festival type of lifestyle didn't happen all year long, right? But I also remember leaving, you know, club in London in the middle of the city on a Monday morning. You get out of that, or Sunday morning, I don't know which one it was, and the first person I see is a mom with a trolley, you know, with a baby in it. And it's just like this clash of these two worlds, you know. You come out of this basement basically and into the sun, and you know, you see this real life happening, right? And you've just been completely somewhere else, right? I think that was around my 18th birthday or so, because I used to live in London back then. And it's just interesting, you know, how much life can change, how perspective changes, and what is important to you at these different stages in time. And you know, that's why I think my work is so crucial and so important, because I wish I would have had someone like me mentor me when I was 19 years old, when I was 20 years old. And I wish someone would have understood where I was at and would have pointed me in a different direction and would have said, man, whatever path you're on, it doesn't seem to fulfill you. Why don't you choose a different route? Why don't you look at something else? Why don't you try to find something that interests you? And why don't you work on whatever, you know, you have going on in the background, so you're actually free from all of this shit from the past, so you can move forward. But it's very difficult at this age to actually realize you're on the wrong track, right? Because everybody seems to be on that track that you're surrounded with. You know, everybody thinks that, you know, going to uni, finishing school, going to university, then, you know, looking for a job or building a company, and like, you know, family, forget about that, you know, like health, maybe, you know, like all that shit is just a natural progression of life, it seems, at that time, right? And that's what's so, you know, frightening in a way, because nobody questions that at all, or used to question that at all. I think there's more and more people thinking about that. And I think there's a little shift happening here too, with a lot of, you know, parents doing homeschooling, and, you know, the internet actually facilitating all of this. And it's just a little bit, or back then, I think, you know, it was interesting to me, because there wasn't really anyone that would, you know, give you a different perspective on life, right? Give you a different perspective on the way life could be lived. Because I remember everyone was getting wasted. Literally everyone was getting wasted in university. Everyone was getting wasted in high school, right? And doing drugs, probably. You know, I wasn't doing any drugs back then, but it's just clear. It's just absolutely clear to me that this life that we are living at that age simply doesn't fulfill us. It's just not meant for us that way. Because if it was, and if it were, we wouldn't be trying to escape all the time. We wouldn't be trying to numb ourselves all the time. We wouldn't be trying to, create a different realm for a couple of hours where we could kind of tap into and forget about everything else that goes on, right? It's clearly not sustainable to just, go into some room, try to learn something by heart that someone tells you is important, that has no interest in your well-being, and regurgitate that for a test, forget about it, on to the next, right? And I've been to private institutions, I've been to public institutions, I've seen everything. I've seen like the regular schooling systems and the ones that are super expensive, right, in a sense, where all these elite people go supposedly, and I'm telling you, there's no difference in it. It's just that with the private schools, like, the teacher can be fired, and surely you have different programs and stuff, because it's like, exercise and all these things that are taken care of, but in the end it's all the same shit, and it's just packaged differently, right? So what can I say to that? I mean, I know there's a lot of parents watching this. That's probably why I do this video. It's to maybe open your eyes a little bit in a way that we try to think and start to think about, the path that your child is on in a different way. Because your child does not have to go the regular route, like regular school is a waste of time these days. All that information that you can learn in school, you can learn by yourself. I just think a lot of times it's convenient for parents to, push your child away, somebody else takes care of them, you can go and do your job, right? Like, I understand, like, that's how the system is built. But maybe there's a different way to do this, Maybe there's a different way to structure your life and to structure your child's life, so they don't have to go through that system. They don't have to, endure this pain ultimately that a lot of us, have to go through when we're in these institutions. I'm not saying everybody has a horrible time in there, but there are some people that, including me, that had a horrible time in these institutions. Like, it was just not for me. And so just think about it, see if your child is actually thriving in these environments, because there are some children that thrive in these environments, because like the indoctrination, with the parent has worked, and then the child is more or less just, feeling safe in these environments, and they can easily learn by heart, and it's fine, and then I wouldn't really suggest to pull them out of there, because it will be super difficult for them on the other side. But like, if your child is struggling, why keep them in there? Why? Just because everybody else is doing it? Really? Yeah, I don't agree with that approach. I think, we should give the children the space to find themselves, to see and find out what they're interested in, and double down on that. Forget about all that bullshit that, you don't have to be good at. Like, that notion of having to have an understanding of everything, that school teaches you, is a complete waste of time. Because you literally have the information at your fingertips right now. You can find out anything you want in a couple of seconds, and there's no need for you to, learn an equation by heart anymore. Like, for what? Like, even Excel, takes care of stuff. I'm not even talking about the ChatGPTs or the Claudes out there, right? So yeah, just think about it. Maybe there's a different way. I know for me it would have been the better choice, but you know, I'm not complaining. I just know like it would have been, and my path was totally fine though, because I wouldn't be where I am right now if it weren't for that path. So I'm thankful for it and grateful for it. But yeah, let's see what that next generation is ready for, because I think they have to do some work, on this realm, instead of wasting time in these institutions.